Welcome back, everyone. Good afternoon. Good morning at home. Good afternoon out here in Spain. A quick breaking news live stream. Pixie Wright, unbelievable. Scum, love the tune. Thank you. Good morning, Kevin. How are you? Tiggy says, absolute joke. What a shock. Exclamation mark. 2-tier. No effing way. Good morning, Jack. So for those of you that have missed the breaking news in the last few moments, in fact, about 5 minutes ago, we had some breaking news on the BBC that reads as follows. Councillor cleared of encouraging violent behaviour. A Labour councillor who called for far-right protesters' throats to be cut in an anti-racism rally has been found not guilty of encouraging violent disorder. Ricky Jones, 58, has been on trial at Snaresbrook Crown Court after he called demonstrators disgusting Nazi fascists and said, we need to get rid of them all. I take that he means me and you and our kids and whoever else doesn't agree with his hard left vile views. We need to get rid of them all, whilst addressing a crowd in Walthamstow on August the 7th last year. Mr. Jones told police his remarks captured on video were ill-advised and not intended to incite or encourage violence. What did it encourage them? What was he saying? When he said we need to cut all their throats, what was he saying? That they need to buy us all some sweets and be a little bit more understanding. The Dartford councillor, it goes on, has since been suspended by the Labour Party. I wonder if he'll be reinstated. It wouldn't surprise me. Had denied the charge. So there you go. For those just joining us, Ricky Jones, 58, the former Labour councillor, who called for people's throats to be cut, has been cleared, found not guilty of encouraging violent disorder. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable, but very believable, I'm afraid, in this day and age. Now, I've got to keep my cool here. I've got to be sensible, and we have to be fair. This is not the fault of the law. This actually, in some ways, isn't about two-tier justice. This guy had a trial with a jury. And if we're going to respect our history and our way of life, we have to respect the decision of that jury. We wasn't there. We didn't hear the evidence. And it wasn't down to us to make that decision. What I question is, where did that jury come from? What was that jury's makeup? What are their political beliefs? And I go back to what I've been saying now for a very long time. We are now in a very, very dangerous sectarian situation in the UK where getting a fair trial, giving someone a fair trial, is becoming almost impossible because almost everyone will sit on one side of the fence or another. This shows the mentality of some people that we're having to work with and deal with. Love you, Ricky. So this guy loves someone who wants to cut the throat of the people that don't agree with him politically. Well done, Mr. Marshmallow Boy. You are the perfect example of why the hard left are a very dangerous, fascist, disgusting group of people. If someone on our side said that about Muslims, if someone on our side said that about a black person, if someone had said that about you, Mr. Marshmallow, if someone had said that about our political enemies, I would instantly stand against those people because I don't believe in violence. And the people on the right side of history, we don't believe in violence. It's your mob that believes in violence. David says disgraceful jury. His entire defence is that he's a half-wit. Well, to be fair, he probably is a half-wit. But ignorance is no excuse to the law. And look, at the end of the day, you wanted a spark, you got one. Nobody's looking for a spark. We're not the one holding the matches, are we? We're not the one that's holding the thing that makes a spark. What an effing piss take. Now, look, I'm going to be honest with you, right? And some people might not like this, but I'm going to be really straight. I've heard worse, right? I've heard people say things that we know they don't mean. But unfortunately, we now live in a society where if you're on one side of the political fence, you have to watch every single word that comes out of your mouth because we know what will happen. That's the position that we've been put in. Do I really, in my heart, do I really want to see people go to jail for saying something stupid on either side? The answer to that is no. I believe in, I think Ricky Jones overstepped the mark. That goes beyond free speech, doesn't it? Surely. Saying we must cut the throats of someone in public with a large audience, with a crowd that's already hyped up and his silly friends standing around him, giving him the nod and a big smile. I did notice that there was one or two people in that crowd who did look a bit shocked and didn't look particularly approving of it, and fair play to them. But that goes beyond free speech, doesn't it? That is clearly, for me, that sounds like incitement. Now, when you compare with what he said to what Lucy Connolly wrote and later removed, I believe they're incomparable. Lucy Connolly said, "For all I care." That was not an instruction. That was not encouragement, for me at least. I'm not a lawyer, but if someone says "for all I care," that just means they don't care. That doesn't mean go and do it. We must cut the throats. It's an instruction. It's encouragement. It's not a throwaway, for all I care statement. Lucy Connolly is still in jail. Lucy Connolly, I believe, from memory, was in jail when he made that statement, has been in jail all the time through his long, very long bail period, a year, and he's still in jail now. If the Home Secretary, if Yvette Cooper had anything about her whatsoever, she would have freed Lucy Connolly months ago. But we all know whose side the Labour front bench, the Labour cabinet are on, don't we? It wouldn't surprise me at all if people within the Labour Party this morning are completely and utterly celebrating the fact that a man who clearly, in my humble opinion, in his own words, encouraged violence, how he's been found not guilty is beyond me. Absolutely shocking. I'm just going through some of the chat right now. And just like me, you guys can't believe it. How did the jury come to that decision, and what was the makeup of the jury? That's the important thing. And going forward, I brought this up in a video a few weeks back. Going forward, how on earth in this country, and I don't envy the task of the people that are in charge of doing this, how do we ensure that people that are in court on trial from either side for crimes of hate speech or encouragement to violence or whatever you want to call it, how do we ensure that that jury is neutral? How do we ensure that that jury hasn't come to a decision about innocence or guilt before they even sit down and take their juror's seat? How do we know? The answer is we don't. Because the country is divided. There is a split. not down the middle, because I still believe that the vast majority of people are going to be on the right side of history. But we know full well that the country is awash with left-wing wet liberals who would agree with Ricky Jones's statement and call him a hero, whilst calling Tommy Robinson, who has highlighted the plight of young women and grape gangs, they call him a racist. Go figure. Because I can't figure it out. I can't work it out myself. Sapphire says, knew that would happen. So what about Lucy? Good morning from Wales. So Karanja says, does this give us license to say what we want in public? Well, what a great question. We know full well that it does not, unless, of course, you're on one particular side. So we do have a two-tier law. Most definitely, we have a two-tier policing system, and we have a two-tier, it appears now that we have two-tier judges, we have two-tier Crown Prosecution Service, but you can't really accuse a jury of being two-tier because they are selected randomly, and they are then either accepted or rejected by the prosecution and the defence. The dilemma here is, like I just said a minute ago, how are we going to know whose side they're on? Malgel, they keep pushing people towards that breaking point. This is what they want, I guess. Do you know what? I couldn't agree more. I mean, like, you know, how do you keep the lid on, how do you even try to keep the lid on situations when things like this happens? The camera, I thought the camera doesn't lie. It obviously does. I won't read that one out, but I think that sums up how everyone is feeling this morning. Martin says, it's not a shock to me. I knew it was going to happen. Martin, do you know what? I'll be honest with you. I thought he was banged to rights for at least a 2-year prison stint. At least. And I think if the jury had found him guilty, to be fair, the judge would have, his hands were going to be tied, and he would have been forced to have given him a pretty hefty, a pretty chunky spell in jail. But the jury have found him not guilty. Who was that jury? What was their makeup? What were their political beliefs? Are they members of political parties? What are their backgrounds? What did their social media tell the court before they were appointed? I don't know the answer to this stuff. I'm not a legal eagle. I don't know. But as I said, my main concern this morning, or this afternoon now, is not the fact that he's been found not guilty, as much as it boils my piss, to be honest with you. It's the fact that we are going to clearly have a problem getting a jury that is genuinely and honestly neutral going down the line as we move ahead. That is the position, that is the situation that our nation has been pushed and forced into a corner of sectarianism and political bias. Can you imagine the beliefs of this man behind closed doors? If he's prepared to say, let's just go through that again. If you've just joined us, breaking news, a Labour councillor who called for far-right protesters. Now remember, these far-right protesters, many of whom are just ordinary mums and dads, nans and granddads worried about their kids. But let's go with the far-right protesters for a moment. He called for their throats to be cut, running his finger across his throat. And he described them all as disgusting Nazi fascists. That is inflammatory. And he said, we need to get rid of them all. while addressing a very large crowd in Walthamstow over now a year and a week ago. And he admitted to police that his remarks were ill-advised. And he told some tale about razor blades on a train, which are complete bullshit. I don't believe any of that. But the jury fell for it. And, well, the question for me is, did they fall for it? Or was the complete and utter trial, the whole thing, a complete waste of time, money? Was it a farce? Was he not guilty before he even set foot into the court? Richard, does Starmer actually want a civil war? Mate, to be fair, you can only blame the jury in this case. If he'd have been found guilty and then given a suspended sentence or a fine, that would be different. Then we could say, oh, two-tier policing, two-tier judge, two-tier sentence. He's been found not guilty. So the people to question are the jury that came to that conclusion. My question to them is, how can Ricky Jones's actions be anything else other than incitement to murder, incitement to kill, and incitement to hatred? How can it be anything else? Just unbelievable, shocking beyond belief. But maybe we shouldn't be shocked. Good morning to everyone. Lucy out next week, apparently. Please God. Lucy Connolly is a national hero. I don't know. She is now a martyr in many people's eyes. Now, I don't know what Lucy's plans are when she comes out. She will be perfectly entitled to go off, get on with her life, never speak to the public, never talk about this ever again, and suggest move on with her life. And I would totally and utterly understand that. My hope is that Lucy will stand up and tell her story, highlight what she's been through, highlight why she's been through this, what it's done to her family, what it's done to her child. Yeah, John Dawson, what do you expect? Let's look forward to JD Vance. By the way, my US video appealing to Donald Trump and JD Vance, Jones is a racist. Well, that's very clear, isn't it, Alan? Very clear in my book. Can you imagine if that... let's have a little bit of... let's try and smile while we say this. Can you imagine if that was Tommy Robinson, our Unite the Kingdom rally, and he said that about the hard left, Sadiq Khan, anyone you like, pick anyone you like, basically. Can you imagine? Can you even imagine? The country would go into a complete and utter meltdown. The BBC, Channel 4, Sky News, etc. They will be having live kittens on air. Can you even imagine? You don't need me to give you the answer to that. You all know it. So they say in law that precedents are set. The trouble is, precedents are only set when someone is found guilty and the judge then sets a precedent for sentencing. So there's no precedent being set. When someone said a minute ago, does that mean that we can now say what we like? No, it doesn't. Because the government will say, well, they charged Ricky Jones. The CPS will say, well, they charged Ricky Jones and they did their job. Who were the jury? In my humble opinion, without being present at the case, and you have to say that I wasn't there, but I don't think I need to be. I saw the video. The camera doesn't lie. It's very clear what he said and what he meant. and the anger in his face when he said it. He looks like quite a big guy as well. I would imagine he looks quite an intimidating character. Make no mistake, this man will be allowed to go on and carry on with his life as normal. He'll get a job. He'll be accepted. His friends, his family, his community will not reject him as a racist or a troublemaker, because, of course, all of that is completely allowed if you're on the hard left. He'll probably be a hero to some people. I just can't believe it. Going back to my US video, my appeal to the United States President Donald Trump and the Vice President J.D. Vance, that video is very quickly moving up, and I would urge you to share that video wherever you can, please. Our American friends and cousins, brothers and sisters are picking up on that video like you wouldn't believe. And I firmly believe, I can't promise you, but I'm pretty sure that J.D. Vance has seen my video. I can't tell you why, but I'm pretty sure it's been watched. And the more you share it, the more it goes viral, especially in the United States, the more it helps our cause. Because this today is a prime example of what we're talking about. Unreal Paul, listening, doing my postie round in Pompey. Well done, mate. Proper British job that is, isn't it? A postie. I bet you're wearing shorts, brother. I know. Oh, dear. Richard, it's not the judge, my friend. It's not the judge. It's the jury. Starmer behind getting him off. Look, depends how deep you want to look at this as some kind of wacky conspiracy. I think it's a lot simpler than that. I just think that the jury probably come from a certain demographic and a certain political belief system. It seems to me that I'd like to know, was this a unanimous verdict? Was it a majority verdict? How? We don't know this yet. But if that was a unanimous 12-0 verdict, something stinks. Absolutely stinks. How could you not get a jury is 12 men or women? How on earth, where would you find, apart from a Labour Party conference or a Socialist Workers' Party gathering, where on earth would you find 12 men and women who would not find that statement and that action a threat or of violence or encouragement, incitement to violence? Where would you find those people? They're either going to come from within the Labour Party, the Socialist Workers' Party, Antifa, Stand Up to Racism, or the local loony bin. Take your pick. Exactly. Imagine if Tommy said that about the left. Do you think he'd have been found guilty? What do you reckon, ladies and gents? Would Tommy have been found guilty? Chris Smith, the jury was handpicked, obviously. Well, that's where I'm at in the respect that, look, like I said, as far as I'm aware, I'm sure the black belt barrister will have something to say on this later. I look forward to his response to this because, like most of us, we all enjoy the black belt barrister's thoughts and views. Superbly educated man, knows what he's talking about where the law is concerned. So I'm very interested to hear what he has to say. I am finding it difficult, unless I'm missing the point, in blaming the law here. I'm finding it difficult in blaming the CPS. They went ahead with the charges. It's the jury. But where did that jury come from and what were their makeup? By the way, everyone watching this, please hit subscribe if you haven't already done so. That would really be very, very much appreciated. Hit the like button. If you're on a mobile phone, just double tap the screen. That would really be much appreciated. And share this video if you feel that you'd like your friends to see it. John Dawson, positive news. JD Vance, Tom Skinner. Jane F, don't think I can handle another 4 years of this, Paul. Jane, I think we all feel the same. The judges summing up is key. Who did they give this case to? Good point, Rex. Yeah, I'd love to hear. Thank you for that. I'd love to hear the judges summing up. There's a lot to come out, and it might be. I can't imagine how. I really can't. Things might come out that we go, oh, blimey, I didn't know about that. Or, I don't know, I'm struggling even considering or imagining how that verdict has been, how the conclusion has been come to that is not a crime, especially in the climate that we're currently in. Yeah, this is my view, Sky John. Vile person, he called for throat cutting in the street. Yeah, Lucy Connolly puts a post on social media and got years, left-wing jury. Absolutely. And I've got to stress again, because Lucy's comments, whilst not particularly nice, but hugely understandable given her state of mind. I mean, a lot of this is going to be about this bullshit about Ricky Jones' state of mind. I mean, he's probably got OCD, AFD, GBH of the heroes, whatever, you name it. Any acronym you can think of, he's probably got it, according to his defence lawyer. But whatever excuse he's come up with for coming out, for letting his mouth run away with him like that, let's not forget that his mates, his friends, stand on street corners every weekend shouting Nazi scum off our streets to anyone that walks by. Basically, unless you agree with them, you're a Nazi. You're a fascist. That's the bottom line. If you don't agree with them, if you even put a microphone in front of their face and ask them a question, they'll become aggressive. They'll tell you to F off and call you a Nazi or a fascist or both. So bearing in mind what he said and what the defence will be about his state of mind. What about the state of Lucy Connolly's mind after losing a child? Does that not count? What's Ricky Jones' excuse for encouraging people to cut the throats of his political opponents? This is unbelievable, but sadly not unbelievable, because as I warned you weeks ago, Britain has declined into a sectarian situation, a political and sectarian situation that is going to be very, very, very hard to come out the other end of. I don't see how it can be resolved, because you no longer now have a jury of 12 good men and women. You have a jury that is politically influenced, socially influenced, many ways religiously influenced, politically influenced. Let's be honest. Would I be a great juror on a Tommy Robinson trial? No. I wouldn't. And probably neither would most of you guys, because we've pretty much already made our minds up before we get inside the court. Would I have been a fair juror for Ricky Jones? No, probably not. And you know what? The honesty inside of me, I would have declared my interest. I'd have said, mate, I'm not the right person to have asked, because I'm not going to be listening to the evidence. The man's guilty. And that's, in my opinion, is where we probably were with a bloody jury. He was not guilty before they even sat on their chairs. Pam Wood's foregone conclusion, lefty nasties always get away with it. John Briggs, Farage believes Islamification in the UK is inevitable, then he should step aside for Ben Habib's advance party. Absolutely. Got a great live stream going out this evening everyone. I hope you will catch up with that and get involved. It is including myself, Howard Cox, Richard Taylor, and Jim Ferguson. I think you're going to find it interesting. It's a long one. I will be in the back studio, so I won't be able to necessarily answer or read your comments whilst the show is going on. But I hope you will tune in later on. It is going to be a very, very good one indeed. Martin said the jury was bought and paid for. I'd say more likely the jury were already influenced in their own minds. This decision has not gone down very well, looking at the chat. What was the difference between what Lucy Connolly did in anger? Well, I tell you what, Lucy Connolly had a right to be angry. We all had a right to be angry after what happened in Southport. Ricky Jones said what he said, in my humble opinion, in the cold light of day, with a microphone in his hand, in front of a lot of people. Now, one of the excuses that he came out with is that he hadn't had time to prepare a speech. Well, I can tell you now from experience, I'm not someone that likes to stand in front of a crowd giving a public speech. I'm not a great lover of it. It makes me nervous. I'm worried about slipping up. And it's quite a daunting task, to be fair. But when you're in that position, what you do is you take your time, you keep yourself a little bit calm, and you kind of try and think a little bit ahead. At very best, this man let his inner thoughts and his mouth run away with him. The fact that he hadn't had a chance to say what he said makes it even worse, because what came out of his mouth was what he really believes. That's my opinion. And the man should be in jail today in the cell next to Lucy Connolly. Incredible. I know a lot of you are going to be feeling really, really frustrated. AJ Audits thing effing wrong. The country is totally screwed now. Thank you for your work, my friend. Robert Seagal, miss a match for the UK. Yes. Miss a match for UTK, 13th of September. Get this trending. Miss a match. Listen, you won't find a bigger football fan in the world than me. Sod the football on the 13th of September. I can't even imagine how any man would find a game of football more important than our entire country and our children's future. One people, one culture, one nation, very much so. Unity. This is a great comments of the day so far for me. There is no justice now in the UK. The judiciary needs removing. We are infiltrated by traitors and activists. And that's exactly what I was saying earlier on. How is anyone going to get a fair political trial? What's a political trial? Well, a political trial is where someone's politics or personal political beliefs or religious beliefs are involved. How are we going to get fair trials for anyone in the current climate? Very interested to see what Tommy has to say about this. Lucy didn't plead guilty. So, sorry, Lucy did. Yes, she did. Lucy pled guilty, so she didn't get a jury. But do you think she'd have been found guilty? Of course she would. Rest in peace, Peter Lynch. Absolutely. God bless him. Look, guys, if you're angry, if this annoys you, if you're steaming this afternoon. You know what to do. Join Advance UK. Join us. Join Ben Habib. Join the party that is going to be a genuine people's party, and will have your backs. The party that we've been waiting for, the party that Tommy is now backing, the party that people like Howard Cox are now backing. Ben Habib is our man. If you're angry, go over right now, please. Go over to advanceuk.org.uk. I'll put the address on the bottom of the screen there, and join up today. If this makes you angry, fight back by doing the right thing. Join Advance UK today at www.advanceuk.org.uk. That's the way to do it. And if you're going out tonight, I know there are a number of protests again this evening across the country. Guys, I can't say this enough. I'm sick to death of saying it, but you must keep it peaceful. You must keep it respectful, because you've seen how the law works. It's there. It's very evident for all of you. If you misbehave, you'll end up in prison. If you get out of hand, they won't hesitate to arrest you, and you won't stand a goddamn chance. Don't become one of their victims. The way forward, the ladies in the pink outfits led the way forward, because they made the police and the government and the judiciary look complete and utter fools. The optics just made the government look ridiculous. The optics made the police look like bullies standing there with their shields and their helmets, etc., whilst a bunch of women in pink danced in front of them to Sweet Caroline. How stupid will they have felt? That's the way forward. So if you're going out tonight, please make sure that you stay within the law, be respectful. I know you get fed up with me saying it, and I know that there's people out there saying, how much longer can we do that? But you'll never get any type of other message from me. Can someone bring a private prosecution? Again, that's one for the black belt barrister. Really looking forward to his video later on. Right, guys, look, I wasn't going to go. I had no intentions of going live. Corinne, thank you. No notifications anymore. What's going on? Yeah, well, that's why it's vital, please, that everyone make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, share my videos. I'm getting close to 300,000 subscribers, guys. Let's see how quickly you can get us there. Let's see how quickly we can get the Advance UK party onto the first run of that political ladder. And I tell you now, what's going on in the background is simply awesome. It's simply amazing. Please join today. Last super of the day, there's me. There's Teresa Miller. Sorry, Teresa. Neither RJ or LC should go to jail, really, but in light of LC's sentence, RJ should get longer. Absolutely. I mean, like, you know, look, people say stupid things. If we strip this back, it's a great comment, Teresa. It's a great comment, because if we strip all this back, people have said a lot worse. Do they deserve to go to jail, to be taken away from their family, their friends, their children? Not in my opinion, no. I mean, Ricky Jones overstepped the mark, but you know what? If they'd fined him $1,000, he's probably a skin bloody lefty anyway, right? If they'd fined him £1,000, that would have probably been a fairly reasonable sentence to me. But when Lucy Connolly's sitting in jail from, you know, a tweet that said, the bottom line was, she said, for all I care. So what does that mean now? Does it mean that if we tweet about something contentious, we've got to add a caveat at the end to it? By the way, I do care. By the way, I care. It's crazy. It's absolutely obscene. Right, guys, that is it. Just a short one today, but I wanted to cover that because I was so bloody angry when I see that come through. Thank you, Audits. Appreciate that. Guys, thanks for your support. Stay calm, stay safe, look after those lovely children, keep your chins up, and I hope them jurors sleep well tonight. Quite how that's going to happen, I don't know. Love to you all. See you again soon.